You see, this our particular generation, yes, there is progress in this generation. We brought light, progress, but there is but to it. We have distorted progress. What do I mean by that? Distorted progress, just like what other people are talking about. It's not only Kogi, I've said it. Money is not everything. Igbos are known for value. There are certain values we don't throw away. And it is our responsibility, now that we have become fathers, to pass these values to our children.
Who visited Igbo land in the late 19th century, the Igbo people show an unbending sense of justice and a surprising intelligence. Now let us ignore that surprising. But the larger point is that Igbo people have long been known for greatness. And yet today Igbo land is in disarray. Today we are overseeing our own declines. Regard for human life that is happening in Igbo land today. Evil. Ndi Igbo, let us wake up. Kaiteta nola. Let us refuse to participate. Refuse to celebrate money whose source you do not know. Let us celebrate alternative things. Let us celebrate knowledge. Let us celebrate scholarship. Let us celebrate hard work. Let us celebrate community. We must remember that we are a great people. We have to remember that we are people who make remarkable sacrifices to live their dreams wherever they find themselves. We are people who...
If we don't do these things, if we don't awaken to our responsibilities, then we have failed in parenthood. That is my point. If we don't pass these things, these values,
we must insist on the basic threshold of decency. Do we as a people endorse these practices? Do we accept egombute as a legitimate route to success? Where is the gatekeeping role of the community over every member? Something that has been central in Igbo culture for centuries. Every success needs validation from the cultural milieu that birthed it. We hear success stories, but in most cases we see only the success but not the story. What is the story behind the successes that we celebrate today?
Okwano ndi obuna okunyunari n'aka bunu famenyulo oku. Kedebe okwu m na-aga. If you have not been sharing or watching my video, if you come across this video as an Igbo man, even without being an Igbo man, make sure that you watch this video till the last minute of this video. There is important, vital information in this video that you must not miss. Kankwukwi ozo ndi oku nyunari n'aka onondo odukofa menyulo oku.
I consider all of Igbo land to be my home. From Enugu to Anambra, Imo, Abia, Ebonyi, and the Igbo-speaking communities in Rivers, in Kogi, in Benue, in Delta. All of them are home because all of them are Igbo land. Igbo, Igbo. Whenever I land at an airport, whether in Asaba or in Enugu or the wonderfully, or in Owerri, or the wonderfully named Chino Achebe International Airport in Umueri.
To start with, video team, please film the crowd. Zoom and where we made them see 'em. Oya film my prophet. Negodi woke. Oh, one in daily way. My prophet, Ogenede.
Okay, there is a reason that I brought that little clip of that little girl. You know, the girl, you know, her boldness, na Igbo, na tochami Igbo, you know. So, but I wish maybe towards the end of this video, I will attach the complete clip of that discussion. But the point still remains that we are missing the point. Some families, some Igbo parents, their children cannot speak Igbo language, pure Igbo language, or even if the Igbo is not smooth, but communicate in Igbo. Lie. That is a problem. You know, you shouldn't be at rest with such condition, because you are distorting nature, what your forefathers left for you, and you are trying to, you know, cut it off completely. That is how people change, you know, from their nature. It's a red flag. It's a warning sign that people must, you know, consider it. Then let's go back to the major business why we are here. You listen to some of this clip with Chimamanda Adichie. That lady is full of knowledge. Our problem is that we are more concerned about this political segmentation called state. State is not how we identify ourselves. First of all, we are Igbos. Before this, our state I know when they created some of these states now. If you want me, I will show you a little clip of what happened when Gowon created 12 states. In fact, I will not miss it. I will show that clip here before we continue.
In January 1967 in Ghana, Gowon and Ojukwu sit face to face. This meeting was to prevent a civil war. It was called the Aburi Accord. And Gowon agreed to everything Ojukwu wanted, which was decentralization, regional autonomy, and no revenge killings. They shook hands and smiled for cameras. Gowon flew back to Lagos and told the press,
"We have peace."
But 2 weeks later, he ripped up the agreement. Why? Because his northern advisors told him,
"You gave away too much."
Murtala Muhammad reportedly said,
"If you honor Aburi, we'll remove you."
Gowon was trapped. Honor the deal, lose northern support. Break the deal, civil war. He chose war. On May 27th, 1967, Gowon announced the creation of 12 states. This broke up the regions, including the East. Ojukwu saw this as a declaration of war. 3 days later, Biafra was born and the bloodbath began. For 30 months, Nigeria tore itself apart. Biafran children starved to death on TV. The world watched. The world did nothing. Gowon's government blockaded Biafra. No food, no medicine, and no mercy. Images of skeletal children became global symbols. But Gowon's response?
Starvation is a legitimate weapon of war.
By 1970, Biafra surrendered.
I, Major General Philip Effium, that the Republic of Biafra hereby ceases to exist.
Ojukwu fled to Ivory Coast. Gowon declared,
"No victor, no vanquished."
But everyone knew the North had won. And Gowon? He was now a war hero. But the victory celebration was short-lived.
So you have seen how the first 12 states was created, and some of these Igbo speaking areas was cut off. You know, it was planned, it was intentional. So, but from that short clip, before we proceed, I was able to get like 3 things. The first one is that it is not today that threats, our leaders, our presidents, there has been threats against them. If you don't do this, this will happen. What happened finally to go on? Was he not removed? He was later removed through coup. So what has he gained by that war? You have killed about 3 million people and later he was removed. You see? You have watched what caused the creation of that 12 states. It was intentional before it was region. But that 12 state was created to disarm Ojukwu so that he will not have control over, the complete region. So, but at least you have gotten the message. Let's proceed. So, but before we proceed, I was not born during the war. People that experience it, if you come across this video, if you have more, or if you are well grounded in the history, if you have more things you need to tell us, you can still go ahead to tell us what you know about that. So, but I am talking from what I have come across and what I have read about the Civil War. So, but let's still continue with what we are talking about. It all boils down to your tribe. It's not about states. Some people look at these things from the state angle, from political angle, which is wrong perspective. This time around, there is wide awareness on Igbo unity, of which, is gaining grounds now. Let us see ourselves the way it was before. River Niger is not our boundary. The Obuzo of Ibuzo have said it. The Obi of Ibuzo, he said it. All these things were intentional. The real boundary of Igbo land is at somewhere Abudu. He mentioned it. You see, so this is a mere geographical expression. Is not. They are working on our side. That is not our, original boundaries. What we know is our tribe. Let's go with our tribes. By the time you go with your tribe, you see that, Igwebike, that unity is there. Everything we are doing, we do it together. Let's leave that mentality of what happened before. We are trying to correct some of these things, of which many people are using their opportunities, they are using their medium to fight for these things and make things come back to normal for the sake of our unborn children. Yes, things have gone wrong. There is no doubt about that. But let's do the ones we know we can do to correct some of these things. It's very, very important. If you don't do this, nobody will do it for us. That is why you see me doing my own with the little I know I can do it with. And that's why you see somebody like Chino Achebe. The man did his best with his novel during his time. Somebody like Chimamanda Adichie, that tigress, is somebody that is like a man. You see, so let's continue with our enlightenment from this clip coming from that tigress once again. Let's hear her.
Dalo rinne angolu siluma afọ unu manu unu mulum Igbo mulum jeche ebe niile na-eje ebe niile Igbo mulum. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. Again, good evening to everybody. Ndinkem. Ekenekwa munu. Ekenekwa mundinkem. Dalunu rinne. Thank you so much for being here. And I have to apologize for being late. Bikuno emekwana kansime. Obono bikono. I'm very sorry. Obununu we ifunu ga eme na 5 because we don't know 5. Nke a bụ mistake am metata. So I'm very happy to be here again. Good evening. Thank you all for being here. And I want to start by thanking the Center for Memories because they're doing the essential work of preserving our collective memories. I also want to thank my dear friend James Ngweze. Rebecca James, no? Okay. Get there. Ngweze. I want to thank James for the depth of his love for Igbo land. And I want to thank him for the breadth of his intellect. James actually persuaded me to deliver a lecture today rather than to read from Dream Count. Dream Count was published in March. And for the past few months, I've been traveling on book tour in different parts of the world. And now I am here, back home in Nigeria. And I consider this my homecoming. I was in Lagos a few days ago. I was in Abuja just 2 days ago. And now I am here in Enugu. I'm here in this beautiful city on the hill. I am here in the city of my birth. I drew my first breath about 2 kilometers away from where we are today at the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital on September 15, 1977. So although I was born in Enugu, I grew up in Nsukka on the campus of the University of Nigeria. I am from Aba in Njikoka, local government area of Anambra State. My mother is from Umunachi in Dunukofia, local government area of Anambra State. All are my homes. But more importantly, and I think more significantly, I consider all of Igbo land to be my home. From Enugu to Anambra, Imo, Abia, Ebonyi, and the Igbo-speaking communities in Rivers, in Kogi, in Benue, in Delta. All of them are home because all of them are Igbo land. Igbo bu Igbo. Whenever I land at an airport, whether in Asaba or in Enugu or in Owerri or the wonderfully named Chino Achebe International Airport in Umueri, the overwhelming feeling for me is one of wholeness, an internal calm, an instinctive ancestral peace. Or so it was for many years, until recently. I am not the only Igbo person who no longer feels this instinctive wholeness, this peace. I am not the only one who reads stories from Igbo land and turns away in horror, who sees what is happening in Igbo land today and is consumed by shock, disillusionment, and a feeling dangerously close to despair. In Igbo culture, nothing is more sacred than life. In Igbo culture, a sibling must never take the life of another sibling. That is what we mean when we call a child Ndoka, Ndubisi, Ndode. The preservation of life is sacrosanct. Things Fall Apart demonstrates this central Igbo belief in the sacredness of life. Okonkwo accidentally murders a member of his community. It is truly an accident. His gun goes off during a feast, and yet his community punishes him severely. His home is destroyed and burnt, and he's banished for years. And this was an accident. Now imagine the severity of the punishment for murder in Igbo culture. Igbo culture abhors the taking of innocent life. And yet, today, we hear grotesquely inhumane stories of people murdered in ritual practices for money. And it is important to note that the victims of this recent upsurge of barbarism are mostly women. It is not just infuriating, but it is mentally disorienting to even contemplate that in 21st century Igbo land, women are considered expendable ingredients in the blighted act of evil rituals. Igbo women who historically have been strong, have been valued. Igbo women like the Omu, whose boats led expeditions in pre-colonial times. Igbo women like the female king in Enugu Ezike. Igbo women who participated in the Aba Women's Riot in Women's Rebellion in 1929. Igbo women who through centuries have traded and shown initiative, and now we are reducing women to victims of money rituals. Ndi Igbo, what is happening to us? When did this particular reign begin to beat us? When we hear of Igbo people randomly murdering other Igbo people, the instinct is disbelief. Are these stories true? They cannot be true. But they are true. How can they be true? How can they be happening among one of the great early civilizations in West Africa? The home of the Leja iron smelting that dates back to 2000 BC. Ibuku bronze with its muted extravagance that dates back to the 9th century AD. The home of the fabled Nri kingdom of the 10th century. How can this be happening among a people traditionally known for greatness and for achievement and for hard work? How can this happen among Igbo people who have long been known for the interesting dualism at the center of their culture, one of individualism on one hand and the other of a communal ethic? Igbo people who are known for gathering together to help one another. In the words of a missionary who visited Igbo land in the late 19th century, the Igbo people show an unbending sense of justice and a surprising intelligence. Now let us ignore that surprising. But the larger point is that Igbo people have long been known for greatness. And yet today, Igbo land is in disarray. Today, we are overseeing our own decline. There are, of course, the smaller desecrations that we have wrought on ourselves in the past 30, 40 years, one of which concerns the Igbo language. We do not have a thriving Igbo literature. We cannot seem to reach a consensus on a classical form of written Igbo. And many of us are proud to say that our children do not speak Igbo. Now, languages are really wonderful. I think the more languages one can speak, the better. I personally would like to learn Hausa. I've always loved the music of the language. But the truth is that children can learn as many languages as we expose them to. But what is happening in Igbo land is not about whether children can learn languages or not. It is the result of the lack of value for what is ours. We do not value what is ours. And this lack of value is also reflected even in the contemporary Igbo practice of giving strange names to our children. Names we like, not because of their beautiful or deep meanings, but because they can be easily shortened to sound Western. Kasi, Zara, Jida. Unana Zaelia Fani Nweri Synod. If any of you have those names, I won't blame you. It's your parents I blame. But as an aside, I've noticed during my book signings, and I've done many book signings, but particularly the ones here in Nigeria, I've noticed that many of my Yoruba fans who come to have their book signed and they tell me their names, they always say very proudly their full names. Oluwatobilola. And I have to tell you, I find this deeply admirable, but also I feel a kind of whimsical sadness, because that almost never happens with my Igbo fans. Ndizara nakasi. Somebody once said to me when I was talking about how important it was for us to conserve our language, not only is that an example of remarkable stupidity, but we must remember that human needs are not merely material. So this person was talking about, I don't want my child to learn Igbo. Igbo will confuse my child. My child will not get a good job. But human needs are not merely material. We must feed our bodies, of course. We must think about what will give us a good job. But our souls must also be fed. And it is dignity that feeds our souls. So the country of Iceland has about 400,000 people, a very tiny country. But they put so much effort into preserving their language. I've never heard an Icelandic person, the few times I've visited, say something like, Eji Icelandic ejebe. And Ireland, the Irish language, which was in decline under English rule, recently, the Irish government has put a lot of effort into reviving the Irish language. The Irish language is spoken only in Ireland. The Irish language is not really a language that is going to get the Irish people international jobs, but they're preserving it. They're preserving it, and that act of preservation is an act of love, it is an act of value, it is an act of dignity. And so to anyone who says, Ejibwe, not only are you lacking in intelligence, sorry, but this is true, you must also remember that we must feed our souls with dignity. And so while all of these issues, language, names, are significant, we must focus now on the large fire that is burning up Igbo land. Ndi Igbo kanyi teta n'ụla. Let us wake up. Ife me bigona ani Igbo. As Igbo people, we often speak of political marginalization. Whenever you're gathered among Igbo people, the next thing you hear is marginalization. They're marginalizing us. We should talk about marginalization. I think any honest assessment of Nigerian history since 1970 must acknowledge the political marginalization that Igbo people have suffered. But it is time to suspend the subject of marginalization until we have cleaned house. We are giving those who want to marginalize us even more reasons to justify that marginalization. We must first clean house. Part of that house cleaning must involve a concerted return to unity. We must unite. We must unite. Unity is not the absence of difference. Unity does not mean that we all agree on everything. Unity means a decision to come together for a greater goal despite our differences. Unity is a beautiful act of sheer will. Unity is an act of intelligence. Unity comes from the ability to think lucidly. If all of the governors of the Igbo-speaking states and all of the senators from the Igbo states decided to come together in unity and put away party affiliations, it would confer on Igbo land a great bargaining power for policies that will benefit all of Igbo land. Different ethnic groups in multi-ethnic countries across the world all engage in this kind of political bargaining. But for this to happen for Igbo land, there must be unity. But first I want to return to what I said earlier, Igbo, bu Igbo. The contemporary distinctions we often make today about Igbo identity, they're not cultural identities, they're political identities. There's a difference between a cultural identity and a political identity. When we say somebody is Delta Igbo, it is a political identity. It is not a cultural identity. Igbo-speaking peoples are one nation, one language, with different dialects. All languages have dialects. A dialect is not a language. So let us use Germany as an example. Germanic tribes have existed for centuries in Western Europe, but it was only relatively recently in the 19th century that these Germanic tribes decided to come together with the different dialects of the same language, German, and they united to form what we now know as the modern German state. Political identities are acts of political expediency. They're transient, they're fleeting, and they're hollow at the core. But cultural identities come from shared language, shared traditions, shared ideals. All Igbo peoples are Igbo. Nobody is more Igbo than another. Igbo bu Igbo. And so, on the basis of these shared cultural values, Ndi Igbo must unite and strive to become a beacon for Nigeria and indeed for Africa. It is not too late. It is dire, but it is not too late. Let us stop making excuses for ourselves. Don't say that poverty is the reason that we are sliding into this barbarism. Poverty is not the reason. Igbo land was not rich in the 1900s. We were poor, and yet we did not worship money in this way. We did not slide into barbarism. We did not kill one another. We believed in basic things, in telling the truth, in standing for moral ideas, in not stealing, in earning your money in a way that is transparent. And by the way, the world today is full of cultures and peoples who are poor, and yet they maintain their values, and yet they do not descend into a doomed abyss of evil. For that is indeed the most appropriate word for the disregard for human life that is happening in Igbo land today. Evil. Ndi Igbo, let us wake up. Kaiteta nola. Let us refuse to participate. Refuse to celebrate money whose source you do not know. Let us celebrate alternative things. Let us celebrate knowledge. Let us celebrate scholarship. Let us celebrate hard work. Let us celebrate community. We must remember that we are a great people. We have to remember that we are people who make remarkable sacrifices to live their dreams wherever they find themselves. We are people who have mastered the art of surviving the most unaccustomed parts of the earth. Let us not forget the wonderful, unique apprenticeship system that we have, Mwa boy. Often we forget the Mwa girl, where young women learn things like sewing from women, and the wonderful and unique rituals and expectations that those involve. Ndi Igbo, let us remember who we really are. We cannot become untethered from the harness of our proud and beautiful history and heritage. Igbo must once again mean what it truly means. Not selfishness, but community. Not violence, but a fierce desire to succeed through hard work, diligence, honesty, truth-telling. The very essence of our existence as a people is being eroded, and it is an aggressive, ugly erosion. We are overseeing our own decline. We are we are participating in our own destruction. How can this be? We must reclaim our heritage. Like Umuofia, before the coming of the missionaries, we must insist on the basic threshold of decency. Do we as a people endorse these practices? Do we accept Egombute as a legitimate route to success? Where is the gatekeeping role of the community over every member? Something that has been central in Igbo culture for centuries. Every success needs validation from the cultural milieu that birthed it. We hear success stories, but in most cases, we see only the success, but not the story. What is the story behind the successes that we celebrate today? Okonkwo's greatness in Umuofia was not possible without Umuofia's collective say-so. If Igbo people had collectively risen in unison to condemn this resident evil when it first began, it would have served as a moral rebuke against the ongoing slide into barbarism. But we did not do that. It is not too late. It is dire, but it is not too late. And it is important to say that the two dominant religions that we have in this region are heavily implicated in this rot. Both the traditional religion and Christianity have a hand in our collapsing values. We have as many cutthroat ndidibia as we have ndipastor, who orchestrate the steady slide into this abyss. It is time to clean house. We should not accept what is happening. If there are those who seek to destroy us, we should not help them. We should not arm ourselves with guns. We should arm ourselves with a return to values. Arm ourselves with knowledge. Arm ourselves with a strong sense of justice, morality, fair play. Those are the true Igbo values. It is not too late. We must wake up now. Ndi Igbo, ka anyị teta n'ụla kita. Let us return Igbo land to the glory that it deserves. Dalonu.
My people, nwanne m agwa nga agwa bụ ezigbo nwanne. Mana nwanne m aka m agwa gị abụrụ ezigbo nwanne. As an Igbo man, after watching this complete video and nothing shake inside you, there is no little adjustment you want to do, go back to this video again and watch it. Something must ring bell inside you about what I have presented today in this video. I didn't make to your brother, but I'm going to the reality of things. If you really care about this life that we are living, well, let me not talk too much about this. I promise that I will show that little part of that little girl's clip with Kogi. That was quite interesting. Let me still show it so that you hear how this girl speaks her own Igbo. You understand what she's saying, but you know, the way he wear a but at least it's quite interesting. Now to chamino everything. So let's see her.
We stand gidibam, na dem go tire. Oh, one in Jeligwe, the Elijah of our time. Ahambuwa Dachinonyerem, Ada Daddy Bukobi. Asim Kaime Kaisiemia. Onabu, Obiam Nonu, Ekupumia Noku. To start with, video team, please film the crowd. Zoom out where we made them see. Oya film my prophet. Negodi woke. Oh, one in Jeligwe. My prophet, my prophet. Ogenede. Nnamuku hasini gwara ọgwụ ego. Nwanne m ọ bụrụ na ọ dị izi, ndị dibịa niile ga-abụ ọgaranya. Mana ka m jụkwa no, dibịa nke a na-agwọ ọgwụ ego nke a ka m jụkwa gị ọga dibịa, ịbụ ụbịam. Ụmụchukwu gekwanụ m ntị. The kind of pride and caliber of people coming to Zion, ọga dibịa, your power no fit carry am. Mana ka m jụkwa no, mpanye only you na-agwọ ọgwụ, only you na-eme arenji, only you ka ha ji akwa asịrị, mpanye ola na-afụka gị ụfụ. This is the case of isi na-egbu ogidi nke na-egbu ogidi bụ ogidi eyijie ya olu. Ọ ya bụ ọgwụ a na-agwọ ya agwọ. I was actually waiting for the bloggers not to rest as usual after seeing the opening of the psychiatric hospital at Aguleri, Anambra State. They all hid in their different holes. What you know you cannot do, when you see another doing it, take a little minute out of your gossiping hours to at least appreciate the person. Anyways, that's not my problem. Happy birthday, Evangelist Chukwuebuka Obi. Happy birthday, Engineer CCOB. You both will live because Jesus lives. You will live to fulfill that destiny and God's purpose in this world. Chukwu wepụ ihu eze ndị iro unu ka unu were ya mara ha maka na egbe a na-agba n'anya ugbu agiri ka a na-ala n'iyi. We stand gidigba na dem go tire. O one ndị eluigwe, the Elijah of our time, onye kwuru ya, Fada Ebube mmụọ nsọ nwoke ọma ọ ga-adịrị gị na mma. But wait oh. The way people leave their business to be minding another people's business is so disheartening. When he was still serving his master, no one gossiped with his name. When Zion started from desert, no one said anything. But now that Zion has gone worldwide, everybody wants to talk. No one is telling you to stop, Makagwo. Continue, because I see that's where bloggers feed from. The earlier you understand the fact that we are unstoppable, the better for all of us. Oye mare esu so n'ọkwa, mi mage esu isuo n'ala.
Okay, Ndinkem, I am going to leave you guys now. I have done for today. Probably until I come your way next time. It is still me, your humble Chinedu Okonkwo. Until I come your way next time, I say bye for now.